This meeting is being recorded.
Right, good afternoon. Hello, I'm David Fode, editor of Public Sector Catering magazine, and thank you for joining us on day 4 of our Plant-Based Week 2022. Today I'm going to be talking to LACER School Chef of the Year, Rob Chambers, who works as the executive chef at Hampton College in Peterborough. Talking to him about the competition and about plant-based food in general. And after that, we'll be watching Rob preparing his winning dishes from last year in a recording of a cooking demo that he did earlier. If you've got a question for Rob, then please use the Q&A function, including your name and company, please, and then we'll do our best to get you an answer. But if you just want to comment or get involved among yourself during the webinar, then you can use the chat function, remembering to choose the option to all panelists and attendees. Right, let's get started then. Good afternoon, Rob. Are you there?
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, fine, thank you very much. It would be good, I think, first up, just to have you tell us a little bit about Hampton School, where you work, and the catering setup that you run there, if you can.
Yep, so we are a trust of 4 schools. So we have 2 secondary schools in our trust and 2 primary schools. I'm predominantly based at Hampton College, which we've got 1,300 students on roll. Sort of recently got promotion in the last couple of months just to sort of more oversee all the other sites of the school, which has been quite good. Yeah, and obviously I've only been here 2 years now. So obviously I joined just after COVID had hit. So my first year was quite strange and difficult, obviously feeling vulnerable and that kind of thing. And obviously this year has been kind of my first full-on year. Hit the ground running, as they say.
Yeah. So you really haven't had 2 normal years at all, have you?
No, 2 completely different.
Yeah. And what did you do before you joined Hampton College? Because you obviously didn't leave school and become a school chef right away, did you?
No, so I was in the private sector. I was doing high-end weddings, events, a bit of restaurant work and stuff. So yeah, so straight into sort of the public sector when I joined Hampton.
And what was it that prompted you to make that decision?
Quite selfish reasons, really. We've got a 4-year-old daughter at home, and as you can imagine, working in sort of the hospitality industry, late nights every single weekend. And a friend of mine left 4 years ago, who I used to work with, was actually the chef at Hampton College. And he phoned me up one day during lockdown, and he said, "Do you fancy coming over to this side?" And I was like, "Yeah, go for it." So I come in, had a chat, pleasantly surprised of the amount of food that we serve and the style of food. When I left my old job, I didn't want to join a company that just chucks food out the freezer and that kind of thing. And I know Impact Food Group, it's very fresh food based, fresh veg, everything made from scratch. So yeah, it was quite shocking to see the difference when I was at school to what it is today.
And you say you were surprised by the amount of food you served. I mean, on a typical day, what's the uptake like at the college?
So it varies. We have a very busy break. Our lunch service doesn't start until 1:25, so it's quite late on in the day. But we normally have about 800 to 900 transactions a day. We have a 6th form which comes throughout the day, obviously coffee and that kind of thing. But we've got 180 to 200 free school meals, so not massively free school meals here, but still a fair few.
Okay, and let's just sort of go back to the School Chef of the Year competition. And can you remind us about the dishes that you chose to make, and perhaps tell us a little bit about what led you to sort of decide on these 2 ideas?
Yeah, so obviously I got the brief. Obviously it was the first year that Quorn were the main sponsor. So I tried to come up with a couple of ideas that I didn't think that many other people would do. I love sort of Asian influence and sort of the fresh spices and herbs anyway. So I kind of based everything around that. So I done like a Thai marinated corn mince bao bun with a fresh Asian salad and a Chinese glazed Chinese leaf cabbage with like a scratch of mayonnaise. And then dessert, again, keeping it the same sort of theme. Did a coconut lemongrass panna cotta with pineapple compote, coconut twirls, and some burnt pineapple.
Okay. Sounds good every time I hear about it. The final was held live, and I think that was for the first time last year as a major feature at the main event. I'm curious, how did you find that experience?
I really enjoyed it, and as you say, it's the first time it was live held at the main event. I was doing obviously some research before my final came up, and I'd noticed that previous years it was done behind closed doors in a kitchen. So obviously, then when I found out it was the main event, and we were in 4 little pods next to each other, where everyone was just walking past, asking questions, taking photos. I think it was amazing. It was really good. Added a different kind of pressure as well. Sort of everyone was watching you. Everyone could just answer questions. But yeah, it was good. I think it really added something good to the main event.
I'm sure from a sort of spectator point of view, it was interesting. I just was curious about how nerve-wracking it was for you and the other competitors.
It wasn't too bad. It was kind of a head down, focus on what you're doing, and sort of try not to make eye contact with anyone, get distracted.
Yeah. Had you actually done any competition work before that?
No, it's the first time I'd ever been put forward for a competition or applied for a competition. So it was my first one.
And was it your decision, or did someone come to you and say, "Hey, Rob, how about trying something like this?"
Yeah, so Impact Food Group, we put through, I think my boss picked 2 people from each region, and I was fortunate to be one of the East Anglia region, and obviously, yeah, it was really good. I'm glad he did.
Yeah. I think we can hear that you're in a school environment there.
Yeah, the lunchtime is just about to finish. So in a minute, you might hear it, but that's it.
Yeah. No, well, it all adds to the atmosphere, doesn't it? How have you found being school chef of the year, and in particular, what difference do you think it's made to you?
It was quite a good. So obviously, when it all finished, things sort of resumed to how they were prior. It was quite a quiet sort of first couple of months after the competition, and then I started to be invited up to different awards, and I was invited up to Leeds to the Corn headquarters, and we did a nice little promotion video and sort of cooked my main dish there. All the teachers keep coming up to me and say, "I didn't know you were entering this competition," and sort of kept asking me questions and said, "Oh, you're famous now," and all that kind of thing. And yeah, it's just nice to sort of promote good food and what food can be done in the school industry. It doesn't have to be your boring foods and all that kind of thing. You can cook fresh food, fresh veg, and make things as tasty as you would go out to a restaurant. And I don't think there is any difference. Obviously, we use low salt things and we don't use fatties, butters, and all that kind of thing. Obviously, everything is healthy and school compliant, but it's still good, tasty food.
Okay, so based on your experience, what would you say if a school chef came up to you and said, "Well, I'm wondering whether to enter the competition or not"?
Don't be put off by it. Go and do it. It's good competition. Any competition is healthy competition. It pushes you further. It opens your eyes as to what other companies are doing, what other chefs are doing. And I've made some good friends from the experience. I'll speak to a couple of the people that I was up against quite regularly. And obviously now I'm a member of the LASA committee. And yeah, it's been really good. Definitely go for it.
Okay, that's encouraging. And as I understand it, as the last year's winner, you get a sort of bit of a change of perspective this year. You get invited along to help with the judging. Is that right?
Yes. So yeah, I get to see the whole competition from the other side.
Yeah.
We held the regional final here at Hampton College a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, so I got to sort of to test my judging skills for the first time as a pre-warm up, ready for the main event. But no, yeah, it was really good.
Okay. And you've already mentioned that last year was the first of Quorn sponsorship of the competition. And I just wondered, what did you find was the biggest challenge in sort of designing a meal that had to include at least one of their products?
I wouldn't say there's any challenge whatsoever. I think corn's such an ingredient you can use anyway. Like the corn mince I done, you just replace it for beef mince. There's a chicken substitute. There's the ham substitutes, and that you can just cook as you was if you weren't vegetarian, or if you were cooking with meat, and just replace it with corn. So I wouldn't say there's a challenge at all. I know there is different ways of cooking it. Obviously, corn mince you wouldn't seal off like you would a beef mince, but you're cooking with it from frozen and you're just marinating it, and it absorbs all the flavour. So I wouldn't say there's any challenge at all, really.
Okay, and I mean, just more generally, when you're designing the menus for at Hampton, how do you approach putting plant-based options on the menu for the children to choose from?
So I'm a firm believer in getting students to try things before they buy them. So if we do plant-based dishes, we'll cut it up into small portions. And we'll offer them out to sort of try before you buy, because as you can imagine, students aren't going to buy something that they don't know what it tastes like. So if you're giving them opportunities to try different foods before they purchase it, they may not purchase it that day, but there was like another day they might enjoy it and fancy a change. We've got a student council that meet once a month, and last month was the first time we opened it up since COVID, and I done some plant-based recipes for them all to try, and everything was plant-based, everything was vegan, and the feedback's been incredible. Like, they've actually asked for certain dishes that I've gave them to be on the menu more often.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you actually find that not only the interest, but the numbers are there more of the plant-based options are being chosen now by the students?
Yeah, we've again, with Impact, we've got a plant-based range that we always have an option on every day that's plant-based, and it's not been live for many months, but it was slow to start off with. But as you can imagine, it's new. They're not going to jump at it straight away, but throughout the month, it's sort of steadily increasing. We're increasing portions that we're doing, and it's selling really well.
That's excellent, Robert. That's set the scene for us very nicely now. So why don't we go over and watch you preparing your winning main course and dessert on the video that we've got lined up. Thank you.
Sounds perfect. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to Hampton College. I'm here today with Rob Chambers, who is the Scotty winner of 2021. And I'm really looking forward to watching him make his winning dishes again after seeing them in the final. So I'm going to hand over to Rob now, and he's going to just tell us about his winning dishes and show us how to make them. So I'll hand over to you, Rob.
Hi guys. Yeah, so my dishes were a steamed aromatic bao bun with the corn mince. So there's lots of ginger, chili, coriander, sort of Asian flavors. I kind of went with the dish thinking that sort of not many people had sort of had it this way before, especially in schools. We obviously tried it on a few of the kids beforehand, offering free samples out, and it was well received. So yeah, I kind of went down that route, and then with the pudding as well, kind of kept it similar. So I did a coconut lemongrass panna cotta with some pineapple jam, some pineapple salsa, and some coconut fills, just to sort of add a bit of texture. So it was quite along these sort of Asian flavors, just to sort of try something different.
Yeah, amazing, absolutely. It's so tasty, so full of flavour. And we all felt that the competition was really, really tough. The standard, the creativity, the innovation that we saw was absolutely top. But Rob's did stand out. It was a standout dish, both the main course and the dessert. So really excited to see that now. So which are you going to start with, Rob? Are you going to start on the main or the dessert?
I'm going to start off the main course. It's a bit more time consuming, so I can get that on, get that rested, and then sort of build the dessert up, sort of whilst the main course is cooking. So basically, I've got some plain flour in the bowl weighed out already, and then I'm going to add my yeast, some baking powder. I'm just going to put that on a low speed on the dough hook with some warm water, just to get the yeast started and sort of bring the dough together, ready for the batter bun.
So what made you choose these particular dishes? I mean, you're using corn mince. Do you use quite a lot of corn products at school? I can see you've got a display here of the corn products that you sometimes use. So.
Yeah, so we use the corn mince a lot. Every day we have obviously a vegetarian option. So whether it's on a classic on a Monday, if it's bolognese, we do corn bolognese. We do corn cheese quite a lot, especially with break time items. Like we do like loaded nachos, burritos, different kind of things with it. We didn't have them as an option on our competition last year, but we have the Southern Fried corn bites as well, which go in like burritos, wrap bar, Southern Fried chicken with sweet and sour sauce and all that sort of stuff. So it's different for the kids. And even because we don't necessarily do that at the same time as the meat variant, kids try the vegetarians as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's good to actually get kids that aren't vegetarian necessarily to try like vegetarian products.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think if the dish is good enough, then it doesn't really matter whether it's meat free or it's got meat in it.
I don't think
It's
so
got
at all.
it stands up in its own right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that works really, really well. Yeah. So you've obviously practiced this dish several times on the people at school. What did the children enjoy eating this?
Yeah, so as I said, it's quite different with the Asian flavours. So I did some bigger portions and then cut them up into tiny little bits, pop them on little tasting plates, and then just get the kids to try it free of charge. Because obviously, getting the kids to part with their money, something that they haven't tried before.
Yeah.
So it's nice to get them to try it for free and sort of thinking actually this is quite nice. And then the other times where I have put it on, and then the kids just come up and have it.
Yeah,
So it's
that's
really
great.
nice.
I think doing those little tasters makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Because as you say, they don't want to spend their money necessarily on something that they're not sure about.
Yeah.
And what about meat-free sort of sustainability side of things? I know I've been going to a few schools. The conversation has been coming from the pupils about sustainability, climate change, eating less meat because of that. Do you find at school that you've got children who are interested in sustainability and reducing their meat intake because of that?
I think so. Yeah, we do have an uptake of quite a lot of vegetarians now since when I've started as well, which is quite nice to see. And we always do. We've got a big vegan range as well as our vegetarians, which goes down quite well. We have plant-based sausages, plant-based burgers and stuff, and it's just food that they like, but just meat-free options, and I think that goes down well. So
yeah, absolutely. Now I can see you've got corn mince in the pot, and tell us what you're adding to give it the flavour that you're putting in there.
So I've got the corn mince. I've just put a splash of soy sauce, a bit of sweet chilli, some chopped up ginger. Some coriander. I like using the root of the coriander for this kind of thing. A lot of people throw it away, but I think it's the best part of the coriander.
Yeah.
And then some garlic, touch of lime zest, and a bit of lime juice.
Well, I mean, I can really smell all those sort of aromatic smells coming from all those lovely oriental flavours there.
Just fold.
Just show the camera that.
There we go.
Can you see that?
Colours on that.
Really nice and colourful and lots of lovely smell.
So yeah, we've got some fresh chilli in there as well. Obviously, we use a low salt soy sauce here anyway, so I'm not actually adding any extra salt in there because obviously, although it is still a low salt alternative, soy sauce gives it quite a salty flavour anyway. So there's no need to season that up there. So we're just going to leave that for 5 minutes just to sort of soak into the corn itself.
And with corn, it's so quick to soak up the flavours, isn't it? You haven't got to leave it to marinate.
Yeah, exactly. And it takes seconds to defrost. Just literally place it to a tray, defrost it, and there we go. So yeah, I've just activated all the gluten in the dough to make a nice dough. As you can see, it's quite
It's a lovely texture.
quite stretchy now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just going to sort of leave that there to prove for 5 minutes, because it's quite a fast-acting yeast and the baking powder, it proves quite quickly. So there's no need to leave it to prove like you would have bread for a couple of hours. It's quite a quick one. So whilst that's proving and that's marinating, I'm just going to crack on with the salad. So again, with the flavours in the bao buns quite strong with the chilies and all that sort of stuff, the salad, the idea was to keep it quite fresh. So just a lot of raw vegetables, got a few bean sprouts, carrots.
One of the things that, one of the marks that we give when we're judging is, of course, all about preparation, your ways of working, hygiene, and obviously I can see how organised you are and how your prep looks so neat and tidy. So that's something that you obviously pride yourself in.
I do have a slight bit of OCD, so
Yeah.
that obviously does help.
It does help.
A bit of coriander in there again, some red pepper, slice of julienne that, nice and
So
thin.
did you do lots of practicing of this dish then when you were
So
trying
much,
it out?
so
Did you-
much. I
Did
was.
you change the recipe much while you were working with it, or did you?
I
Was it
changed,
the one you
I
went
changed the bao bun, trying to get the different size because I wanted it to obviously be quite retain it, be quite nice and dainty and pretty on the plate.
Yeah.
I made a couple of batches where I was kind of freestyling the dough. I wasn't weighing it out and rolling it perfectly, but now I use an actual cutter, so it's the same size every time,
Right.
and it's the perfect size. It's not
Yes.
too big. It's nice and
Yeah.
looks good on the plate as well.
Yeah, that's great. And one of the things is that we do ask to see how it's actually produced en masse. So if you are, it's all very well making it, isn't it, for 4 portions, but can you actually produce this for your children at school? And you
Yeah,
obviously
so
can.
this obviously it being a dough, much like a brioche. If you make a brioche, you prove it in the fridge overnight. So you can get this made and then prove it in the fridge overnight, and it's fine the next day. So you can get it done before and then just cook it 5 minutes before service and then serve it hot. And the dessert as well, I done the panna cotta actually for an inset day for the teachers. So I did 180 panna cottas, exactly the same.
Wow, yeah.
For the teachers as well.
Yeah,
So
lovely. All individual.
all individually.
portions. Very nice.
But no, yeah,
It always amazes me how well you do with £1.40 to produce the main course and the dessert.
it's surprising how quickly it goes.
Yeah, you do so well though.
Yeah.
I think everybody did, you know, with all the contestants did so well to produce some amazing food with the restrictions, not only of the cost of £1.40, but also sticking to the guidelines that you have to stick to as well. I think you do an amazing job.
So we've got the Chinese leaf cabbage here as well. So just literally cut that into quarters, ready for sealing off later on. So that's all ready to go. I'm now going to roll out the bao buns. So I'm going to move that out of the way for a minute.
So while Rob's getting the bao buns ready, the competition this year, we're hoping that this will inspire some more entrants, which would be great. We are actually introducing a couple of new products for you this year. So one new product really. So it's mince pieces, vegan sausages. So our standard education sausage has been now changed to vegan. So it's egg-free, all within the school guidelines of salt. We have the vegan fillet, and the new product is the vegan pieces, the beef style pieces. So they're very similar in look to the standard pieces, but they are a darker colour and a slightly different flavour profile. So that's an interesting one. And then you've still got the deli ham and chicken slices. So we've got added product in there and the vegan sausage rather than the vegetarian sausage. And the added thing on this competition that we've included this time, we're still doing the main course, still doing the dessert, but we've also introduced a grab and go item, which I think is going to really make the competition interesting. So this is allocated 60 pence for a grab and go item. So Rob, what do you reckon? If you were doing grab and go, any thoughts on what you would do? We don't want anybody to pinch your ideas, but on the other hand, it might give a little bit of inspiration.
I think, as you said, with the new beef pieces as well, I think it would be quite nice to almost do like a twist on crispy chili beef kind of thing, sticking, because I love Asian food,
Yeah.
but almost doing like a sticky crispy Asian beef if it's in like a sort of a wrap or wrap bar, or even in a burrito with like some fried rice or like savoury rice kind of thing. I think that'd be quite nice,
Nice.
possibly.
Yeah, that sounds a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. So
We'll see if there are any of those coming up
I'll
in the
take-
competition.
yeah,
Take credit for
yeah,
that
I'll
one.
take credit if they win.
Yeah, yeah. I think they do give lots of flexibility, lots of variety, lots of options to use them. So there's a really big choice there
Yeah.
of products. So it'll be quite exciting to see what everybody comes up with.
Yeah. So now I'm just brushing the dough with water. There's no need for egg wash or anything like that. Water is perfectly fine with this one. Just helps the dough stick together.
Looks a really nice texture.
Yeah, just nice and light and fluffy. And as I said, with the fast yeast in there, it proves really quickly. So I just use almost like an ice cream scoop. Perfect portion control. Keeps it nice and round, and then you just kind of bring the dough around the mince, pinching it together.
You can see that you've practiced that before.
I remember.
I could imagine it would be quite easy getting into a little bit of a muddle.
I remember when I did this at my regional heat.
Yes.
Everyone was watching me. The cameraman was there,
Yeah.
and it was so fiddly at the
Tense.
time. And yeah, I'd nearly buckled, but luckily,
You didn't. Yeah. I
Managed-
think that's the other thing, isn't it? It's getting used to somebody talking to you while you're concentrating, and then you've got the cameraman with the camera looking at you. But
Yeah.
I think you probably get in the zone, don't you? Do you get in the zone?
yeah,
you
I
just
kind
do
of,
it?
I kind of just head down, focus, and that's what I did at the final as well.
Yeah.
Which, obviously, from when everything that I'd read up on the competition, it was always in the kitchen. And I remember this year it was obviously at the
At the main event.
event,
Yeah.
and obviously everyone was just coming up to you and watching you, asking questions, which I thought was a really good idea, to be fair. Just nice interacting with people, so like the whole public gets to see it as well,
Yeah.
not just the judges and stuff.
Yeah,
So it just
absolutely.
opens everyone's eyes as
It
to what can
does.
actually be done
It
for
does.
school food. Because
I think it raises the profile so much. Having it at the main event, I think everybody felt it raised the profile. It was good for you. It was good for all the visitors at the main event as well.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was. I mean, you enjoyed the experience, didn't you?
I thought it was amazing, really good. And even after I was quite fortunate, mine was the first heat on the first day, so I was able to sort of crack on, get it done, and then just relax.
And then relax a bit.
I'd imagine if it was at the end, then I wouldn't have been able to relax. I'd just be constantly thinking, oh, I hope I've got this, and I hope I haven't got that. And
Yeah, yeah.
but no, it was really good, really good fun.
Good. We had so much good feedback from the competitors and also from the visitors at the event as well. So we're looking forward to doing it again at LASA
Yeah.
main event.
So I've just glazed that with water, sprinkled it with some poppy seeds, or you can use sesame seeds, whatever
Have you
you
seen
want.
that all right? Can everybody see that? That looks, they
Try-
look really
try not to
lovely.
sabotage the,
Yeah.
power buns.
With the poppy seeds on the top there, they're very, very neat,
So,
very neatly done.
I'm just going to leave them to one side for 5 minutes, just to sort of let the dough relax again and all that sort of stuff while I just clear out this mess.
So this school here, I've never been here before, obviously, so I'm here with Rob today. And I think they have 1,300 pupils, and Rob has 8 staff working with him as well. So he's been here only 18 months, and obviously most of that time was during COVID, wasn't it, really? So it's been quite tough, I think, but I can see by the layout of what you've got here, you make a real effort to make it look appealing, don't you, on the counter?
Yeah, so I actually I first started in the September of lockdown, and we were doing year group bubbles. We weren't doing break and all that sort of stuff. So it really got to know the kids and what they like and what they don't like, which obviously I think helped me sort of react with the kids really well. And then this September was the first So it's like starting again, because obviously it was breakfast club, then it was the break, lunch, after school club. So it was a really eye opener as to how many kids actually come through different times. But yeah, it was really good. But I think it also helps if you make the food look good. I think the kids try different things, and
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so much, isn't it? So much about what your eyes, eating with your eyes, isn't it? That's the thing. You've got to get that right to start with.
Yeah, right.
And then
So
all those lovely flavours.
I'm just going to put these bao buns in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes.
I remember it was a very precise 12 minutes when we
What?
were when you were doing the competition. Yeah.
And I remember when I done my regional, because obviously I was focusing on every other thing, I was like, they went in 12 minutes before the final whistle was off. So as the time thing, it was straight on the plate and then it was served. But no, it was really good.
Yeah.
Worth the experience. Right, so the desserts. I've actually made these before.
Here we go, Blue Peter style.
Here's some up prepared earlier.
Yes.
So so I've got coconut lemongrass panna cotta. So I've just brought up to boil the cream, the milk, and the coconut milk. I've infused it with some lemongrass and a touch of sugar, not too much because the pineapple is quite sweet naturally anyway. So again, it's just low sugar and all that sort of stuff. And then set it with the vegetarian jelly. And then so set in the fridge. And then I have cubed up some pineapple and just brought that to the boil with a splash of water and a touch of sugar, and just sort of cooked it down for about an hour, just almost like a jam. Obviously in the competition we only had 1 hour 15 anyway. So I took a lot of ice, cooled it down over an ice bath really fastly.
Just shows you can do it in
Yep.
that time.
Of course.
Obviously, the time's going to be extended a little bit this time because we're adding the grab and go item. But even so, things like that you can still do by bringing your ice bath and doing things like that, and speeding that process up.
Yep. And obviously the panna cotta as well. It was cooled down over an ice bath just to get the gelatine to start to set, and then
Yeah.
straight in the fridge.
Yeah.
Um,
Obviously, a vegetarian.
Yep.
Did you find that was slower to set, or did
No,
you
I
find
did
it didn't
not-
really
not
make
really.
any difference?
because you're keeping it in the ice bath anyway and whisking it as it's cooling down, it sort of varies in time anyway, but it soon sets quite quickly. So yeah, I've just put a couple of spoonfuls of the pineapple compote on top.
I think the colour contrast as well is lovely on this one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I've done. So obviously, I did do it in a white bowl on one of my trials, and you kind of miss you can see the panna cotta and then the
Yes.
different layers and the stuff and all
yeah.
that sort of stuff.
It is worth thinking about and playing with how you're going to actually present the dish for the competition, isn't it?
Yep.
That does make quite a big difference, really.
So I think we were told to use a 10-inch white plate.
Yes.
And then obviously the bowl, it suits your dessert. I think you could use whatever you want as long as it wasn't obviously massive and stuff.
Yeah,
But no, it's really good.
Yeah, I think when you read the guidelines, initially it looks like there's quite a lot of things to read and a lot of rules and regulations. But actually, once you read them, it's not too bad, is it?
Not at all.
You know, it makes sense really what you've got to do. And all of the procedures about hygiene, using the correct colour chopping board, all that sort of thing, it should come naturally anyway, because
Yeah.
that's what you're trained to do.
You've just got to make sure that you've got everything on the day. Make sure you pack an extra chopping board. You obviously might not need it, but it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So that I can just, for anyone that's wanting to enter as well, just make sure you've got everything. Silly things like seasoning, just double check, write yourself a list, go through your methods. It didn't stop me from going to sleep that night thinking, have I got this, have I got that? No matter how many times I've gone through it, it was always playing on my mind.
Yeah. It's probably quite nerve-wracking the night before, but I think when you get there and everybody else is there, you know you've got all your food, you get into the zone, and it's actually quite enjoyable, I'd imagine.
Yep, it was a really, really good experience.
We're not scary judges, are we?
No, they may look scary, but they're not when you get to know them.
We know Gordon Ramsay's, that's for sure.
So yeah, I've just added a touch of red chili in there. Number one for a bit of colour, and number two just a tiny background of heat, just to add something different to the dish. Chili
Yeah, I
can,
think that chili goes really nicely with the
chili,
pineapple.
chili obviously is just always perceived as a savoury item and stuff, but used in the right way and the right amount of quantity, it goes really nice in many different things.
Yeah, obviously chocolate's one of them.
Yep, chili and chocolate is one very famous. And I've made the twills beforehand, and this is just a mix of butter, egg white, sugar, and then some desiccated coconut on top, and you spread it really thin, as you can
Obviously,
see.
you made
they're wafer
these in
thin.
the
Made these all on the day as
competition.
well.
They were still within the time,
Yep.
so you got these done in the time.
So yeah, I've just
So light. Yeah.
so yeah, you just spread it very finely on a baking tray and in the oven for about 6 to 8 minutes, nice and quickly. And again, they're coconut flavors and it just adds a bit of texture, crunchiness to the dish. And you can just put these in however you want, whatever looks good. It's completely up to you.
I bet the children love having you
Yeah.
at school, don't they? So were you kind of shown off at assembly when you won, Scotty? What did the school make a fuss of you?
Yeah, so the head teacher and all the deputy heads were very proud. I'm very friendly with the IT guys anyway, and I remember coming the next day and they printed off this poster that was the size, I don't know how big it was huge, but they put it on the wall just up there for all of the kids to see with my award and all that sort of stuff.
Fantastic.
It was quite embarrassing to start off with, but you just left it up there. It's quite
That's
used to it and
wonderful.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that is the dessert pretty much done.
yeah,
Nice and
beautiful.
simple. Just quite
Simple, but it
simple.
looks amazing,
Yeah.
doesn't it? And the contrast of the colours, the layers in there, that
Yeah.
little fleck of chili.
Yeah, just a
It's
touch of red just to
beautiful.
go in there and stuff.
Yeah. And this is the twills, they're
Yeah.
so fine.
Coconut twills.
Yeah, the
Spread it
coconut's
as
lovely
fine
on
as
there.
quickly, but you just when they go in the oven, you've got to watch them because, as you can imagine, they're very thin and they overcook within seconds.
Yeah.
Take your eye off the
Yeah,
ball.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say was your top tip then for somebody thinking about entering the competition? I mean, obviously you've said make sure you write yourselves lists and you just keep checking.
I think it's just make sure the flavors work, and then just practice. I don't think you can get too much practice in. I think I practiced it about 10 times before I'd even got my menu and stuff written out properly. And then even when I got through to the final, just keep practicing because there's a few months between my regional and national final. It's amazing how
Yes.
quickly you kind of forget things, but
Yes.
to keep on top of it. It's
Yes.
just practicing. So
Spread out last year,
Yeah.
wasn't it? This year, I think it's the middle of February when the competition entrance close, and of course then the regional heats will be quite quickly after that, and then the finals will be in July at the main event. So it's kind of a much shorter time this time, so you haven't got to wait,
no.
which is nice, really.
So I am now going to just go and colour off this Chinese leaf cabbage. Just going to go off site for a bit.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to trying some of this, I have to say. But I will wait and see if I can try the bao buns first. So the bao buns, obviously using the core mince. So that's something that is quite a different way. We had quite a few people use bao buns, but obviously more in the traditional way of the open bao bun. So they might have used the fillets, marinated the fillets in something, sliced them, and then put them into the bao bun so that you could actually see them. But the way Rob did it was quite different by putting them inside the bao bun and using core mince as well. So this year, as I said, we've now got the vegan sausages, so egg-free. So those will be an interesting one because, of course, they can be pureed. They can have their shape changed. And then the vegan beef pieces as well. There are lots of different ways of using those. So it'll be really interesting to see if any of the entrants comes up with some exciting grab-and-go items. So what are you doing next then?
So now I've just got the salad back again. I've just put a touch of the dressing that I marinated the core mince in, just to kind of lightly just dress the salad. As I said before, you just want to keep it quite fresh. You don't really want to add too much flavour in there.
Because you've got so much flavour.
You've got so much flavour in the bao bun. You just want to keep this nice and light and fresh. Nice small portion. Okay. nice and simple. Just like that.
Lovely and colourful. Really good. Yeah. And at the main event, we had little pods set up. So you had everything there that you needed. Obviously, Rob's going over there now to cook, but at the main event, we had a pod, probably about this size for each chef. And you had your sink, you had your oven, you had your hob and shelving. So although it was only a small pod, you had absolutely everything that you needed there. So it meant you weren't wasting time walking around a kitchen. You've got your section and then the audience was in front of you. So I think the pods actually worked really well at the main event. They will be set up very similar again this year. So we're hoping that we will see lots of new people coming along and also lots of the runners-up from the previous Scotties as well, who will have another go. It always helps, I think, probably if you've done it before, you know what to expect, don't you?
100%. And I can't wait for this year's competition just to sort of see what these grab and go items like and stuff. Obviously, we didn't do that, which obviously adds another completely element. So your times have to change because obviously you've got to factor that into the whole timing. But no, yeah, it'd be good. I can't wait.
What are the popular grab and go items that you do at break time?
We do all sorts. We use a lot of ciabattas, sub rolls, whether it's the big ones, the small 6-inch ones. We do burritos, wrap bars, like we call them one pots. So we do a lot of like noodles, rice, with like crispy chicken and stuff, and obviously the crispy 7-fried corn fillets go really well. We do homemade pizzas every day. As a company, we use a lot of homemade. Everything is homemade anyway, which is quite important for me when I joined the school. Obviously, I still want to cook. But no, yeah, we go through so much, and even using things up from your chili con carne. If you have one day cooked it fresh, you chill it down, and on the next day you can do like loaded nachos and things like that. So it's a good using everything up, no wastage.
We're all about sustainability, less wastage, all really important. Yeah.
So here I have just a sriracha glaze, which I'm gonna just drizzle over the cabbage, which I've cooked it quite quickly. You want to still have a bit of crunch in there and a bit of texture, so you don't want to cook it too long, because then it goes really soft and slimy and stuff. So it's just nice to have it quite fresh. I'm just going to grab the barbs out the oven. They're ready.
Yeah, that makes a big difference, doesn't it? How cabbage is cooked as to whether it's got some texture left in it. There's nothing worse than soggy cabbage, is there? So that's really lovely.
Especially with the Chinese stage cabbage as well, you can have it raw as well with salads. Just finely shred it. So so we're just adding it to slightly warm it up, just to put it on the plate and stuff. So I'm just going to put that on the plate like so. So neatly. I've got some finely sliced spring onion. Pick some of the coriander leaf down, left over from the stalks, just to sort of decorate.
I think garnish is an interesting one in schools, isn't it? Because you don't want too much greenery, but on the other hand,
kids see green things and then sort of turn their nose up at it.
Exactly. Yeah. So you do probably need to be a little bit careful, don't you, with
Yeah. I love fresh herbs, and they are cheap as well. So
yes.
So they're always good.
Yeah.
And then the batter bun, just to add very carefully, just pull cut the paper off.
Perfectly
Like
cooked.
that,
Look at
just like
that.
that.
Beautiful.
And although they've been steamed, so I picked this one up anyway. They're quite dry to the touch, where they're proved and they're cooked and stuff.
Yeah.
So you can you could use these as a handheld item as well.
You could, couldn't you? Actually, if that was in a takeaway or in a napkin or something like that. Well, am I allowed to open one and try one?
Try it. Go for it.
It looks absolutely beautiful. Look at that dish. Absolutely stunning. So colourful.
Yeah. Obviously, you've got a bit of rawness, and you've got the corn inside as well.
Yeah, I'm going to just cut that open so that everybody can see that inside with the minced corn in there and the delicious flavours that went into that corn. Looks gorgeous. Absolutely lovely.
My wife's sick of this now because I made it so many times, cooked it.
That's so lovely. The flavours in corn there that you've added.
Yeah.
It's just taken on those flavours and it's just, I hope that's making your mouth water, everybody, because it really is superb. And that salad, so fresh, so colourful.
And I think that's the
It's
thing with
gorgeous.
the corn as well. You don't have to have too much sauce in there because the corn absorbs all the flavour anyway.
It does.
So you don't need too much moisture in there, and it retains the moisture. And as it steams, although it looks quite sort of dry on the inside, it's actually really moist.
It is, yeah.
And just the added sriracha sauce on the cabbage as well just adds nice bit of heat as well.
Yeah, and there's no shrinkage in the
No.
in corn either. So what you put in is what
Yep.
you're getting out at the end. And it'd be rude not to try a tiny bit of your gorgeous dessert. So I will have a little tiny taste, if I may.
If it's as good as you remember.
Yeah. That is delicious. Pineapple and the coconut on here as well. It's absolutely gorgeous. Well done, Rob.
Thank you very much.
Ah. I think that brings us to the end of the presentation. So we're going to be working with Rob this year. He's going to come up to our head office in Leeds and work with us, and we're going to be enjoying having his company and his skill and expertise on the education sector. So we're looking forward to working with you. So
Can't wait.
absolutely top notch these dishes are, and we're so delighted that you won, Rob.
Thank you very much.
So I'd like to thank you very much on behalf of Corn, and we'd also like to encourage lots of entrants for this year, and looking forward to seeing you at the regional finals.
Perfect.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you very much.
Right, well, if you'd like to catch up with today's webinar, or indeed any from this year's Plant-Based Week, then you can access them via the Plant-Based Week section of the Public Sector Catering website. That's it from us for today. My thanks to Rob and Quorn Professional for making today's session possible. On the final webinar slides, you will see the logos of all the suppliers that have supported Plant-Based Week 2022. Thank you for watching and goodbye.